Hello everybody and welcome back to another Rockabilly guitar lesson, and today it's time for the Johnny Horton special, requested by many, and I picked 3 songs that represent the Rockabilly era of Johnny Horton. So we have I'm a One-Woman Man, Love is Rock, and Take Me Like I Am. Grady Martin plays lead guitar in all 3 of them, and he showcases his great variety, ranging from simple bass runs like in I'm a One-Woman Man to highly sophisticated playing in Take Me Like I Am and Love is Rock. Here on YouTube I will show you the intro to Love is Rock, the first solo of I'm a One-Woman Man, and the second solo of Take Me Like I Am. And if you want to learn all the rest, 6 solos, intros and outros, have access to the jam tracks and tabs, then you can go to shop.randyrich.de or become a patron and support me there. I have all the lessons available there as well. So I want to take the time to thank all my patrons again who get me through the tough times. 1.5 years, hardly any gigs, but you guys make it possible that I sit here, not every week, but as often as I can, to give you some rockabilly guitar lessons. Before we get to the actual lesson, I want to take the time to remember Jyrki who sadly passed last week, and for me he's the greatest modern rockabilly guitar player. I always talk about the guitar players from the 1950s who had a big influence on my playing, but nobody had a bigger impact than JJ in the 90s, because I could actually see him play, and very often, because they would always stop at my place in Rostock when they started a tour or finished a tour coming from Sweden, and the ferry port was right in my hometown, so I would get them a show and they would rest at our place, and we had some great time. One of the best times of my life in the 90s when I got to see them play. And before the Swedish invasion, as we called the bands coming over, like Wildfire Willie and the Ramblers, Phil Trigwell and the WDs, Riley McOwen and the Sleazy Rustic Boys, Eddie and the Flatheads, Tupelo Wildcats, just too many to mention all of them, but they showed us that it was possible to recreate the sound of the 1950s in the 90s, and they made us practice harder, work on our sound and the tone, and they showed us how rockabilly is supposed to play and how it's supposed to sound. And when Wildfire Willie and the Ramblers were in the area, there was no way I would miss the gig. Even when I was in the military, I had to do 1 year mandatory military service in 1995. And I heard that Wildfire Willie was playing 1.5 hours away from where I was based. So I sneaked out at night, got to see them play, but then there was no train going back in time. So I had to improvise. I went to a hospital and pretended to be sick, but of course they didn't like that at all. You have to have your priorities right, and my number 1 priority was to see JJ play. I can't even describe in words how much it meant to me back then when I saw them play and heard them play. As I said, nobody had a bigger impact on my playing, on my music career than JJ and the Swedish bands. If you never had the chance to hear Jyrki play, then please do yourself a favor and pick up a record or CD. I have some links in the description below and you won't regret it. And now here's your free preview of the Johnny Horton special. Love is Rock by Johnny Horton is in the key of D minor, and the intro goes like this. So we're starting here on the 7th fret, the D string. Then we play a chromatic run on the G string from 5 to 7. Then I leave my ring finger here on the 7th fret G string, put the index on 5, E string, and the middle finger on 6 B strings. So this is a D minor chord, and we rake up with a pick in one motion like this. Then I move my ring finger to the D string to play. So this is the D string here on the 7th, and the 5th on the G string, and then 7 of the G string together with the open D string. Yeah. So what we got so far, let's start on 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. And then in the next bar, we again start with the open D string together with a G string, followed by the G string by itself on the 7th and the 5th fret. And then we start all over, yeah, and play this lick until the singer starts singing. So one more time, the whole intro. 1 and 2 and 3. And the first time I play the open D string, I don't want to have it ring like until the end. Yeah, I stop it with my middle finger of the left hand, like this, and then I start over. Then in the first solo you basically repeat the intro. But then you continue like this. So the second part starts on 4 with the open A string. Very similar to what you've played before, but then you play so starting on 4 and you play the 2nd fret A string, and then you hammer onto the 3rd and bend down a half step. Like this. Then a hammer on pull off, 2nd to 3rd and back to 2nd. Yeah. Open A string, and then the rest is just like in the intro or the first part of the solo. So let me play the whole second part of the first solo, starting on 4. 1, 2, 3. The second solo is quite similar to the first one, just a little different in phrasing. And once again, you start with a by now familiar pickup. And then once again, you have your index barred on the 4th fret with the middle finger on the 5th fret B string to play the next phrase. One more time, I pay attention to the timing, starting on 2N, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And then for the next bar, you actually take your middle finger off because the chord progression moves to B, and then you play and then in the next bar you're back at E, so you put your middle finger back on. So let me play the last 2 bars of the first row, the second solo. Yeah, 1 bar of E and then back to E. One more time. And here's the whole first row of the second solo. Then the next 2 bars. Well, very similar to the first solo. One more time. And then the next 2 bars. One more time. And here's the whole second row. And then the third row. And then the last run, the fourth row, is exactly the same as in the first solo. So let's break down the third row again. Here once again you got the jump from the A string to the high E string. And this is why I use the middle finger to pull the high E string. And then same run as in the first solo. And then the rest. Just like in the first solo. And now I'll play the whole second solo to the metronome at 100 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.